Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and welcome to the first Modular Monday, where we'll be building a full-blown 32 by 32 baseplate sized modular over a number of weeks. So welcome to Modular Monday Part 1. We're going to be building my first MOC modular, as I say, over the coming weeks. And in each part, I'll try and build a distinct section of the modular from sort of ground up, as opposed to doing what they do in Lego instructions, which is pretty much do all of it, plate by plate and tile by tile as you increase in height. So that way you'll get a good feel for the growth of the MOC. Also, bear in mind, I have never built this before. I've designed it on a computer using Lego Digital Designer, but I haven't seen it in reality and I don't know how it's going to look, so it's going to be a bit of a process for me. Now, all these bags are the pieces that I've been accumulating over countless brick hauls in order to make this thing, and there's a heck of a lot of pieces actually, because as you may know, modulars use a vast amount of small pieces as well, which aren't cheap when all put together, because all the floors are tiled and they have a lot of stock in the shops and loads of different features and all the rest of it. And my MOC modular is no different. So my piece count actually comes out at 2,759 pieces, which is big even for a Lego modular. Usually they're around sort of 2,200 to about 2,500. So the town hall has got 7 pieces more than mine, and Assembly Square has got quite a few more, but that's based on 1.5 full-size base plates. So it's definitely right up there. If you're using piece count as a metric, then it is definitely a full-blown proper modular. So now I've shown you all the parts. I'm going to put most of them safely away, except for the base plate and what is officially my bag number 1, so I can get building. But before we do that, I'm going to run you through my inspiration for the MOC modular and how it came about and my early planning. So a couple of pieces started the entire process of this modular off, from very humble beginnings, out of acorns mighty oaks grow and all that. And I basically got these pieces for not very much, because they aren't particularly popular, and I got them just as an experiment really, to see what they were like, with no real intention of using them. But the more I sort of played with them, the more I thought they could form the basis of a building, and then the more I played with the basis of the building, the more I thought it would actually be very useful as an integral part of a modular, and that would work really well. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to 2 pieces, which are panel pieces from a juniors set. Now this set's called Quick Fix Station, is 4655, and it's a junior set from 2003, and it's pretty much an awful set really, isn't it? It's very blocky and using large pieces and looking quite ugly if you ask me, but these pieces still intrigued me. Now they're the same as the sort of Ari's Deli pieces that are used for the decorated windows in that facade building that I've already done. But obviously they're to do with a quick fix station being a fast food shop at a sort of motorway or highway services. So I thought I could use these to form just a fast food restaurant in a city. Now, you may think, oh goodness, why is he starting with those pieces of all the pieces that are available? Well, I always find that modulars are very sort of twee in a way, because they're very sort of clean cut, very sort of wholesome and lovely. And that's very nice for a lot of the city. But there are never any sort of more down at heel areas, or more areas that are actually more true to life. So I wanted somewhere that looked perhaps a bit dingy, deliberately, somewhere that looked a bit, underinvested in, let's say. So I thought a fast food place, which let's face it, every city has, that's got some really sort of ropey graphics on its windows, and dodgy lines and is a bit sort of small and not that high end, would actually look really good. And the location for this modular was going to be near my railway station, and often that isn't the most desirable land for a lot of businesses with the highest rents. So you end up with a lot of sort of smaller, sort of rougher businesses. So I thought that was a good inspiration. Now, there were a couple of ways, much like with Ari's deli windows, that I could use these. I could either make a two-story building with the door, which is sort of integrated with this piece, if you're not aware, with its open sign and its menu and no smoking sign on the ground floor, and this being in the floor above, just in a sort of eating area. But then I thought it would be very narrow and, well, the upstairs would be really boring because it would just be seating, let's face it. So I thought it'd be better to have them side by side. But then with them side by side, they're using quite a lot of space for what is, after all, quite a simple concept. So then I came across the next opportunity, which was making it a corner. And this is where it all started to come into a plan. If I make this a corner, then I'm only really cornering off an area of 12 by 12. It will need something else above it, and it will need something to either side, otherwise it'll look really isolated. And that's where the idea of using this as the very corner element of a corner modular came about. So I'm going to show you the little mock-up I made, first of all, to sort of do a feasibility study, if you will. I kept it all this time. Now, don't worry, my modular is not going to be done in rainbow bricks with a blue pavement or sidewalk. That would really be awful. But this was just a quick mock-up I did to see if the concept would work. Because these panels are quite hard to utilise in that they've got an actual base bit as well. You can see there on the floor. So I was thinking if I raised the internal floor up by one plate, would I be able to tile over some of that? And the answer is yes, in order to make it a lot more integrated and accessible. Also on the outside, if I built up the pavement a little bit, would it look realistic? And again, I think the answer is yes. And then I'm not going to use these pillars because they're quite ugly, but because they slide in between two bricks with grooves vertically, you know, would it be able to work on a corner and be structurally sound? And again, the answer is yes. So you can see I experimented with the idea of having a sign above the windows and with having a business right next to it, because this would be obviously only the corner of a 32 by 32 base plate. And I liked the idea. And then obviously you can have another floor and maybe another floor after that. So this rainbow brick monstrosity is the prototype that I built in order to prove the concept. And I was very happy with it. So, you know, it does look cheap. It does look a bit nasty with these window decorations. But I think when you look at it from a bit more of a distance, it just looks like a sort of ropey low-end business as opposed to something really problematic. And when it's surrounded by interesting streets with benches on and all the rest of it, and there's all sorts of building features on either side, above and down here even, then I don't think that's going to be a problem. So hopefully you agree. Hopefully you don't think that my choice of using two of these unsightly Juniors panels is a big mistake. And I guess we'll see as these Modular Mondays pan out. So bag number one is basically to build the first unit, which is this ground floor corner unit for the fast food restaurant. So before I start in earnest, I've just added some basic pavement or sidewalk to my base plate. The reason why I'm using green is because the very back is going to be showing and is going to be near my train railway line. So I want that to be able to match, but 90% of it, or probably more, is going to be completely covered. So none of it will show through to the ground floors. Now, I'm not also trying to do an ideas Lego Ideas sort of suggestion or anything like that. I think it's going to breach a few of the rules of that. A, it's a modular. B, it's using things like those fast food window pieces that won't be allowed, and so on. And also, I'm not even trying to follow modular rules that are pretty much standardized with things like the white lampposts and all the rest of it. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm trying to make a modular that suits me for my city. So that's the only rules that I'm adhering to. Right, so I'm going to get going on this bag. Bag number 1. Oh. Right, so here's the floor. I've had to use plates on top of the base plate just to raise it up one stud, and then have the tiles themselves overhanging the edge. And that's because this area on both sides needs to sort of overhang the bottom of these panel units, so they'll fit in there. And I've put in the bases of the pillars, which will have the grooves down the side to support those pieces as well. And I've used medium blue and dark azure as the cheap linoleum floor because I figured that places like that usually do have a sort of peeling and horrible coloured old floor, so it's much better than having something that actually looks nice. So I can just continue that theme by continuing these different coloured squares over this lip as well, and you'll still be able to see the side of that on both sides when the windows are in. Awesome. Now onto the walls. Okay, so we've got some of the back wall in. The thinking behind this blocked doorway was that this was once a bigger building that's been chopped up into bits to have more than one business in it. So you'll see the building, when it develops, is actually one large unit split into several parts, and therefore that's sort of a throwback to when it was all one and you could walk through this door into another part of the same building. But that's blocked, and behind there will be the next business. And the thinking behind this panel was, well, I didn't plan this at all, but it came with this sticker on. I thought it was quite good fun, so why not leave it on? I mean, restaurants do have odd decorations in some cases, so I thought I'd leave that there. Now, what needs to go on this wall is a staircase. Now, this is part of the next building, so we won't discuss where it's going or why it's this colour or what have you just yet, because it's kind of next door. But it does give us a bit of a problem on this side of the wall because, you know, as we add more bricks, let's put these in temporarily, you can see we've got the last plate of the end of each of those rungs of the steps showing in that dark red colour. So I designed this bit originally, then when I designed next door, it then impacted on this, so you have to kind of redesign this one and keep going to and fro in the design process until you're happy with both sides. And for this side, it just meant that I've got to have lots of sort of kitchen and burger making equipment hiding each one of these red, dark red ends. So you'll see how we managed that in due course. And then I thought, why not have a bit of a feature on this wall by just adding a turntable base piece as an air conditioning unit in the red, which is going to be the theme of all the tabletops. So that looks quite good as well. So it's starting to get enclosed. I'll do this wall and we'll have another look. Right, we've got the rest of the wall in, and you can see we're having to accommodate things, structural features on the other side, which will become important later, as well as on this side where we've got some bricks on the side and some sort of rung pieces. And I'm just going to start hiding these red, dark red sides, and that's why I've got that little shelf sticking out, so I can put a mustard squirty bottle on there, and that conceals that. I'm also now going to add some menu pieces. Now these are the stickers from set 60200, Capital City, where there was a burger bar. and I've sort of destroyed my burger bar because I couldn't think of anywhere good to have it in my city. But I've used some of the pieces in building this, and those two will just be absolutely perfect as those screens you see in this sort of a place. So I like that as well. Right, onward to the interior of the kitchen. Then we can enclose it with our panel pieces. Right, I think we're ready for some furniture. Don't worry about this tiny sort of crack you can see here. That will be filled in when we do other parts of the build. So first of all, I've got a fridge with a grill on top, maybe for flipping burgers. And then above that, I've got an extractor hood combined with a sort of grill area for maybe warming buns. And I can hide that dark red plate with this, which means it's double use. So that's really useful. Then the next section of kitchen has got another fridge, and we've got a sort of grill bit there and a rack with some pizza that's being kept warm, and it's obviously sold by the slice because one's missing, so that can all go there. And the reason for this bit of red grill is because above that I'm going to have a drinks machine, kind of like a soda fountain, which has obviously got these levers, and there's some red drink and some yellow drink, and then there's a stack of cups and a stack of lids. And again, that goes on the wall, thus hiding another bit of dark red. In fact, this hides some as well, and that splashback bit of red panel hides the last bit. So it's all hidden now, which took a bit of doing, I can tell you. But there's the back part of the kitchen. And then the front part of the kitchen is the counter where they're making their sales over. And I've got two tills because I'm going to have two operatives, because there are always more than one till, aren't there? And then we've got a hot dog here and a drink, and this one's also got a drink. So this is kind of a built version, I suppose, of the stack of cups and lids. And if we look at it from the front, it's kind of refrigerated because maybe there's some fridge units in here as well. And this is supposed to be a napkin dispenser. So I can put that whole construction in there. And then all I really need is some staff and some customers. But just so the customers don't get into the staff bit, I've got a 1x4 tile, which I'm just going to sort of close off by joining these two headlight bricks with it. So it's kind of like the rope across an area for staff only. And then last but not least, for interior decor, I've got a massive mega burger with sort of salad, meat, tomatoes, all the rest of it, gherkins, in one of these fantastic printed pieces, and that can go on the table here. Very good. Right, so I think it might be time to build up the rest of these pillars and actually put the windows in. Right, well there's one in, and you can see it's quite seamless with the step there. The door opens absolutely fine. And on the inside, you can see I've replaced those floor pieces, and they're just on top of the panel now. So it's actually concealed the ugly bottom. Before I do the same thing on this side, I just thought I'd add some people. And I've got two of the Series 17 Hot Dog Man. One with the original smiley face and one who's a bit more grumpy. And I thought that they could be hard at work. So one maybe with his back to everyone, working on the grill. Ooh. And one serving people. And then I thought when I had the seats, I thought I'd re-add the grandma who's taken her grandson out for some fast food. And he's a lucky guy because he's got a shake and a hot dog. So let's put the other one in. There we go. It's going to be quite tricky to put these bits in. Probably put the table in first. So that means Grandma's eating this huge burger, but nonetheless. Yep. It's 2 in. Hey, that wasn't as bad as I thought. So there we go. Can I show you very easily? Not very, but there we are up from the above. But this is the view I wanted. Look at that. I mean, it looks crazy busy, crazy full, really colourful. So much going on in there. You can see the burger and the chairs in the window. And it just shows I didn't really need a second floor with loads of seating because, well, it'd just be a bit boring really, wouldn't it? And we've got the seating in the window there. And I just think that really works. So we need to do a bit more around here and then we'll be done for part 1. Okay, and here's the top done as well. So you can see I've got tiles all around the top and behind this lip of the frontage. And that's so obviously it can support the floor above and separate, as all modulars do. And I've put on these curved pieces above the doorways just to give it good colour. But then I was also thinking I might just add on these stickers from 60050 train station. They're the menus on the fast food joint that's part of that set. And I thought I've got a few of these, so I could do a set on both this side and this side above the windows. And I think a lot of places like that do have that sort of thing going on. Right, I hope you'll agree that looks even better with the menu signs over both doors. I mean, you might think it looks a bit cluttered and oversigned and stickered at this point, but when we get the other buildings which are a lot more plain, the sort of fact that this corner's a bit sort of brash, which is deliberately how it's supposed to be, then it will, you know, fade a little bit in how sort of stark it is, I think. And I'm also appreciative of the fact that normal modulars do not have stickers, but as I said before, this isn't a normal modular trying to comply to their rules. This is just complying to my rules. Now, one thing is clearly missing. Something that goes on the front here, on the front corner. And as you know, I'm a massive fan of 3D signs, so I thought I'd build a massive 3D sign, and that is a burger. Now, this has been done on quite a few sets, but this one's a bit different and unique to me. So I've got a dark tan round plate and some of these round bricks with the slats on. So it looks a bit more like meat because it's got some texture. Then I'm going to add cheese. I mean, why would you not add cheese to a burger? You can have a burger with or without cheese. I would always add cheese. And I've got a couple of these sort of tooth pieces which can signify the cheese sort of melting and running down the sides, which makes it look even more tasty. And then I've got a red layer, which could be slices of tomato, or it could be just tomato ketchup. And then some angled plates to represent salad leaves, and then quite a hard piece to get, this dome piece in the same dark tan. We'll line that on top of the whole lot, and then we can have that. There we go. Hey, that is awesome. Hanging out into the street. I've literally never seen this before. I've never built this at all, so this is new to me as it is to you, and personally I'm loving the look of that. So no one can be under any illusion of what this fast food place is when it's got such a huge 3D burger sign. And I've designed this so when we do get other bits, they will sort of stack on top of this and won't interfere with our lovely burger. Fantastic. So I do hope you'll agree that the part 1 of this Modular Monday set of videos has been a success. We've done our fast food corner shop, and I think it's looking very colourful, very full of life with the characters inside it, and long may this series continue. In part 2, I guess we'll move either onto the establishment here or the establishment here. Haven't quite decided yet. So do let me know what you think of this build so far. What are the bits you like? What are the bits you don't like? Do you think it was a mistake to use these transmedium blue panels from the Juniors set? Or are you now converted like me? Anyway, whatever your comment, whatever your thoughts, I'd be glad to hear them. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing another haul on Wednesday and then another city update on Friday. But next Monday, we'll be continuing with part 2 of Modular Mondays. See you then!